Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. So I'm going to be discussing code-free software development blueprints for developing software in the human and social sciences and education. This is a three-part idea that I've been developing since from last year and this year. So I presented the first part last year. I'm presenting this now, and hopefully we will see the conclusions next year. So the idea that I'm defending or that I'm investigating is that those of us in the human and social sciences, we don't develop software for our research, and primarily because most of us don't know how to code. And so that scares us from developing software that coders or programmers don't know that we need in our field, but we know we need it. Because they are not in our fields, they don't understand what we do. Or sometimes you try to work with them, your school or your research unit tells you work with IT or computer science people, and they don't get it. So they are not taking you seriously, or they're telling you that you can do this, you cannot do that. And the ideas that we have in our heads as social scientists and humanists, they end up staying in our heads because we have been ghosted and so on. I'm just going to move through my slides since I only have 15 minutes. But these days, I'm making the argument that with code-free software and low-code platforms, and with the addition of AI these days, we can develop our own software. We can learn these programs that they don't even require us to code. Some of them, you just have to give them English instructions, do drag and drop, and you can build your idea that is in your head. And so my first paper was talking about why we need software in the human to develop our own. And this paper today will be showing you how to develop that. And then the next paper next year would be discussing an example that I'm going hopefully to show you guys today that I've been working on. And so they're calling us these days citizen developers, those of us who don't know how to do to write programming languages, but we still work with software. And so we as experts, we know what we want to do, so we can go ahead and develop our software. So there's a shortage even of IT builders, even in the computer world. They don't have enough people writing software. So these days, there's what is called a legion of citizen developers, those of us who are learning code-free programming and all these other ways to still bring usable software to life, okay? So democratization of software building has happened these days because of computer evolution and so on. And I just started there by discussing my personal experiences with you guys, and I'm sure maybe some of you as well, where you get ideas over time, but the ideas get stuck in your head, or you are forced to abandon an idea because somebody has told you that that cannot be done, or it's too expensive, or it's too costly, or they don't have time to do it, so then they abandon you. So I started to find ways to bring my own ideas to life, and that's the process that I want to walk you through. So there are several advantages of software in the humanities, and these are all the points that are developed in the last paper. If you're interested, please look at it. It will be coming out in the IHS proceedings and so on. So humanities research, we want to study idiosyncrasies of our subjects. We deal with data at scale, that's big data, whether you're transcribing novels or interviews. We need to visualize our results, show them in ways that people can see, or even artifacts like our art and so on. We are trying to automate our work. We want to run several observations, rerun our data to see what else we can mine, and we need to ensure things like coder reliability or update our findings very quickly. That's why this slide is that big. These are all the things that were developed in the last paper. And sorry. So how do you build? That's exactly what I want to do today. If you don't know programming languages and so on. 3 levels. I left some of my notes there that I wanted to take off. 1, you can learn how to build. You can, without code, learn one of those platforms. They are not that hard. You can add AI, and then you can find your results. And I want to get here. I give you reasons why these platforms are good. They are using libraries and software development kits these days that have already been built out there. They are using graphical user interfaces, and they are using APIs or application programming interfaces so that software can talk to each other. And those are the things that are making it possible for those of us who are not experts at programming languages to still build. And most of these platforms these days they exist in the cloud. So as a researcher, you will ask yourself your research question. You will decide what types of data are you going to need? How can you codify this data and structure it in a way that a computer can read it? Those are just the things that you need. If you can answer some of these basic questions, then you're ready to build the software that you need. And so what do you do then once you have decided that? You ask yourself, what are you studying? What can you count? What can you measure? What are the data points that you're looking for? And how can your data points be represented by the ones and the zeros that computers need? Okay. How can you create some structure, some form of schema, some form of system, or the attributes that the computer can measure or the software can measure? Then you identify your research problem in the social science or humanities or even business that needs a solution that you believe that software can help you solve. And that problem has to be something that's hard or time consuming or costly if you wanted to do it manually or by hand. It's going to be difficult. Then you collect your data. You have identified what is it will constitute data. Is it lines of poetry? Is it paragraphs in a book? What is it that you want to measure? And then you codify that data by bringing some sense to it. Then you select your no-code platform that you are going to use. Try to learn it. It should not be that hard. It should be way less than learning to code, which takes time and money. And then also maintenance free. Once you have built it one time, you can use it severally, and even your friends in the discipline can use as well. Then you go ahead and build it, produce what we call your MVP or your minimum viable product prototype. And then you go out and test your minimum viable prototype. Also, you add AI there. You train the AI algorithm to, you create your prompts through prompt engineering, how to write the instructions that you want your software to do. And with AI now, you can do that. And then you go out and beta test your software, all right? Usability of the software, user experience, and customer experience with your software. And then you come back, you fix the bugs that you have found in your testing. If you're satisfied, you go ahead and deploy your software in gathering the data and analyzing your findings. I know that that has been a rush through. That's because I really want to get you guys to show you what I've done. And then you share your findings and results and you distribute and disseminate. All right. So the problem that I have been looking at is the whole problem about negativity in news, bias in news, which is a humanist problem, social science problem, misinformation, disinformation, and big data. News is big, several news companies worldwide. How do you study something like that? And how do you get your results to people? So here you can see these are just screen grabs from the software that I have developed. And just to encourage you, like you, I never knew this before. But as you can see here, I have several different news stations. And you can use whatever news station or whatever you're studying that you like, corporate news, alumni news, whatever. So I just showed you here sampling of NBC, CNBC, and different news types. And then you can see here, I'm studying reporter credibility. How do we know which reporters are following journalism and objectivity so that we, the public, get good, the correct news? So here you can see I have come up with some data points for studying reporters and journalists and news. And as you can see here, and if you can see, give me a thumbs up, please, so that I know sometimes when screen changes, you don't know if people can you still see? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see this journalist, I have analyzed his work according to reports and his news stories, how he writes, and for CNN, and these are just fictional now. I'm just using the news stations and these guys. So you can see he has all green, so that the layperson at home who doesn't know how to read what we are reading or do what we do, they can just see the visuals and know that, okay, this is a good reporter. I can listen to this reporter, I can follow his stories. Unlike this second reporter now, whom the results are showing that with the aid of AI and the software that I developed, that maybe you should not trust this reporter, maybe you should take his reports with a grain of salt. So those are two journalists for the same network, CNN, and you can see how we can tell which one is doing better than the other in terms of news canons. Or you can even compare with other news stations. For instance, this reporter over here is from ABC. And you can see that that reporter, I will also study him, I will also read from him with a grain of salt. So these are the kind of ways that we can develop our own software. And if we had more time, or if we have more time at the end, I could show you guys the site. I just took some screen grabs. Here you can see the instructions that I taught the AI to follow. I told the AI what I needed it to do for it to go in and analyze this material for me in order for me to get those results that I just showed you. And then these are examples of what the AI would give back to me in terms of the analysis and the assessment, which I can then use you know, to visualize or to show people. So this is something where big data, it would not have been possible for me to do this manually by hand. So I knew that software can help and AI can help, but I didn't know how to do it. And I went ahead and taught myself how to do it. So these are my whole list of references. And as I said, this is a trilogy. The first idea came out last year in my first publication. This one will come out this year. And then next year, I would like to deploy those, the platform that I just shared with you for studies, and then I will report those studies back to you guys. I know that was quick, but this is time for questions and discussions, if anybody has them. And please tell me how many minutes we have, whoever the timekeeper is. I will take your questions. Please tell me what you think. I'm looking for feedback, and I hope that was helpful. Sorry that it was so quick.
We do have a couple minutes if anybody has any questions.
Okay, thank you. How many minutes specifically, can you tell me?
Being that our first person wasn't here, we have a couple minutes.
Okay, so then maybe I should just share my screen then and show you the platform that I'm discussing, since it looks like we have a little bit of time. And that's why I would have liked to know at the beginning there. Let me just bring that up very quickly, and I will show you how it works live so that maybe that will make more sense. Okay, I'm about to share here. And this platform are many. You can choose yours, choose the one that you are most comfortable with. I tend to use Glide, which is the one that I'm going to show you guys right now. And if you can see there, tell me that you can see. I'm going to share. This is it. Okay. Can you see? Can you see? Guys, is okay. So all right, so this is the platform that I just took some graphs there for you guys, and you can see here these are my sources. So these are all different news stations. I could add whatever news stations I want around the globe. I could compare news in the US and news in the Middle East. I could do it for my local TV stations. So these are just examples. And then here you can see all the different stories that all these different reporters are covering. It's right here. So you can go by station, you can go by story, you can even go by reporter. So I can decide to say, oh, how is this reporter for BBC? How is she? You see that she has a yellow star there or something. So that tells me I should be careful with this reporter and their stories. Or I could go back and pick another reporter, let's say for another TV station. And once I do that, then I'm able to also see that person. This person works for the South African Broadcasting Corporation. I could see how that person is doing. Or I could go by stories, as we've seen. And then I also want to show you guys the data, because that's where it's even more powerful to see all the analysis in the background here that I'm able to do with the help of AI that I would never have been able to do on my own. And that's how we are able then to see on the front end what we are saying. And you can see here, my AI is back here working, doing the work for me. And then I'm able to show people different things on the layout, which is what the person at home wants. For instance, they can go here by sources, they can choose their own station that they want, they can go by story, whichever one they want to see, or they can go by reporter. They can go here and see any reporter, just type the reporter's name in and all their analysis and all their believability, or how much they are staying with the canons of journalism. You can see very clearly. We know that misinformation is a big problem for all of us now, especially in news, and we're looking for ways to try to solve that. Thank you. Please, questions and your thoughts.